Thank you so much for joining us tonight for this Moline-Coal Valley Board of Education Candidate Forum. My name is Karen Dahlstrom, and I'm the Executive Director of the Moline Public Schools Foundation. MPSF is very pleased to have been asked to partner with the Moline Education Association to host this evening's forum. Thank you. I don't think she's in here, but thank you to MEA President Susan Hafner for her work in bringing this event to life. Let's thank Susie. Both of our organizations are united in our commitment to public education. We care deeply about our school district. It's a passion that I'm sure is shared with the candidates on stage this evening. So to the candidates, with voters this evening. So to our candidates, thank you. Finally, to everyone here with us this evening, to you in the audience, we are so glad you're here. The questions that will be asked tonight are designed to help you get to know the candidates and learn how they would contribute to the board if elected. We hope this conversation is a helpful springboard for you to feel informed when casting your ballot on April 4th. So to all of our voters here today, it's the last time we're going to clap right now. Thank you all for being here. So without further ado, now for me to turn things over to our moderator and officially start tonight's forum. So please join me in welcoming Brandon Tidwell to the stage. Brandon is an alumnus of the Moline Public Schools and a current board member of Moline Public Schools Foundation. And he is going to be taking things from here. So thank you, Brandon.
Good evening. As Karen said, my name is Brandon Tidwell, and I'm happy to be here tonight and serve as your moderator. I'll be asking the questions to our candidates over the next 90 minutes. The questions were generated by the Moline Education Association and have not been received by the candidates in advance. If you haven't already, we ask at this time to please silence all electronic devices. This April 4th, voters will be choosing from 7 candidates to fill 4 seats on the board, each with a 4-year term. The following current board members have expiring terms. For those present, when I call your name, please raise your hand. Audrey Anderson, Justin Anderson, Kate Schaefer, if she's here. Kate, thank you. And Maria Trigueros. Now I'd like to introduce the candidates running for school board this evening. As I call your names, again, please raise your hand. Current board members seeking re-election are Audrey Anderson and Justin Anderson. The candidates seeking their first term are Mickey Carter, Ramona Dixon, Lindsay Hines, Justin Farrell, Mariella Trevino. Thank you. Thank you everyone for being here tonight. If we're ready, let's go ahead and get started with the discussion of the format for tonight's forum. Each candidate will be given 90 seconds for brief introductions and opening remarks. This will be followed by 7 questions. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to answer each question. Candidates don't have to use the entire time, but should you go over, Karen, who is seated in the front row, will raise a placard letting you know that your time is up. If you see the placard, we'd ask that you probably wrap up your remarks. Each candidate will also have the opportunity to be the first to answer the question as we go in table order, starting at the end with Audrey, and then proceeding through seated order. We'll wrap up the evening with closing remarks, and once again, all candidates will have 90 seconds for comments. Please note that for this event, candidates will only be addressing questions on stage prompted by the moderator. There will not be an audience Q&A. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. Audrey, you'll be starting out this evening for us. If you would, please provide a brief introduction and the reason why you are running for the Board of Education. Your 90 seconds starts now.
Can my 90 seconds start now? Hi, my name is Audrey Edson, and I'm currently finishing up my first term on the Board of Education and running for re-election. I live, work, and volunteer throughout the Moline community. So I worked at Western Illinois University as the director of our Career Center for both the Moline campus, Macomb, and our online students. And I volunteered a variety of things throughout the community, most of them associated with our schools. So being Logan PTO president previously, involved in music and drama boosters, music trivia, April 28th. I also had a chance to work with the Morning Coffee Club at Wilson, being a book club discussion leader, as well as next week I start a new adventure as a JA volunteer over at Lincoln Irving. So I like to spend my time, I believe in sort of find a need, fill a need. And so 4 years ago when I started on this journey, I thought that this was a need in our community to have some different voices on our school board, and decided to run. And during that time, I had a chance to really learn a lot about what really happens behind the scenes in a community district. And that has been such an amazing experience to learn more about the decisions and how they're made, our school finances, policy. And I really believe that because I've learned that, I can continue to be a good voice on the school board and move forward. I have 2 children who've gone through the Moline School District. My oldest child graduated last year and is now in college. And then I have a 9th grader in high school. Then also the spouse of a Moline educator. So I really believe in Moline. I believe in what our school district has to offer. I'm excited to be here tonight.
Thank you, Audrey. Justin, you're up next. If you'd please give us your introduction and tell us why you're interested in continuing to serve as a board.
Good evening. I'm finishing up my second. Like Audrey, I also live, work, volunteer, and have to be involved in our Moline community and becoming positive as well. I've got 6 kids, 4 of them have graduated out, 2 still in district, and this is my way of being vested in participating in their education, as well as representing voices of our community to the school district. Already the experience, knowledgeable on what's going on in our campus. Where we're trying to go, as well as continue to be involved with kids right here every day. You know what's going on years on even in.
Great. Thank you, Justin. Mickey, you're next if you'd like to proceed with your introduction.
Excuse me. Yeah. Want to get too close, but tell me I'm loud. I am Michelle Carter, and this is my first time even attempting to run for any the school position, but I have recently retired. I had a child that went all the way through the whole Moline School District, and now I'm a grandma. And I'm very concerned about some of the issues faced with the district. But when I was a parent, I was very, very good and didn't have time for this. Now that I'm retired, happily retired, I see a need. We have to address the issues that are affecting our students here. So I decided to step up, like all they say, and volunteer to do a service for.
Thank you so much. Ramona, you're up next. If you'd like to proceed with your introduction, why you're interested in this work.
My name is Ramona Dixon. I am a mother of 2 Moline Valley School District students. I just like to preface this by saying I'm running not because of those 2, because I am an involved mother. I am running for the good of all students. I am an educator by heart, by training. This is in my blood. This is what I do. So I am not from Moline Valley, but I came here 10 years ago via the military. And Moline Valley took me in as family and my kids in as family. So this is why I run. I'm a junior and here at Moline High School, and I have an 8th grader over at Wilson. I am an educator. I was a high school English teacher by trade. Now I am a district administrator. I am the director of grant accountability and assessments for the Rock Island School District. So I'm running because I know that the way we deliver education has drastically changed over the last 10, 15, 20 years. I want to be a part of the change that our students, your grandchildren, your children, and generations to come will experience because of things that this board has. So I want to be a part. That's my bottom line for running. I have a wealth of experience around usage of federal funds, around family engagement, before after school programming, things that are relevant to education, but the stakeholders in the educational system matter. We need to make choices.
Great, thank you. Jason, it's your turn to proceed with your introduction and reasons for running for the board.
Hi, Jason Farrell, parent of 4 kids in the school district, 2 middle school, 1 in kindergarten, 1 in pre-K. I've been involved with the community for years. I've been coach for the district in soccer, baseball, and my wife and I have been involved in PTO. And we just kind of felt like now was the time to step forward a little bit more, get more involved, use a little bit of my expertise in technology, kind of bring that to the community. There's been a lot of talk about making sure our kids are represented well. I also want to make sure that there's someone here that's representing our teachers, our educators, who's working in these schools, making sure they get the support, everything that they need to do their job well, because they're spending 8 to 10 hours a day. So I think that there needs to be a voice there that has their back and make sure that not only are our kids, but teachers.
Thank you. Lindsay, if you please proceed with your introduction and reasons for running for board.
Are we good with this one? Oh, am I just, I don't know. Okay. All right, I'm Lindsay. Hi. I am born and raised Moline. I'm an MHS alum. Sorry. I'm an MHS alum. I do a lot of work in the community and with the schools. So I love to volunteer at Hamilton Elementary. I've got a 2nd grader there. I have a 7th grader at John Deere who doesn't like me to volunteer as much at that school. But I'm also involved in some of the district processes as well. So I've been taking part in the parent advisory board. I was just involved in a session about designing a portrait of a graduate, so kind of figuring out as a community what we want our graduates to look like after coming out of Moline High School. I serve as a mentor through Lead Her, which is facilitates mentorship for professional women. I'm a reading buddy over at Butterworth through Read United. I serve on the board for both Mercado on 5th and Twin Rivers Rotary. So I like to keep busy and I like to make sure that I'm really giving back to this community. I love living here. We love sending our kids to school here. And I've seen such great work come out of our board over the last couple of years, couple of terms. You know, we've got the Bartlett Center, the PE facility, we've got the Aspire Wing all here happening at Moline High School. And I really want to be part of kind of that next big phase of work that we have to do here. So thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Mariana, if you please proceed with your introduction and reason for running for board.
Testing. Okay. My name is Mariela Terniño. I think I've already said a lot in my very brief biography and there. I'm so sorry, guys, I didn't do that. No, I'm just kidding. So I lived in Moline since I was 2 or 3 years old. I don't remember. It was so long ago as a baby. I'm a 1st generation Mexican American. Both of my parents are born in Mexico. I have 2 kids. They're actually over there. I hope you can tell them apart. They look just like me. And my son is he's a senior in high school here, and my daughter is in 7th grade at John Deere. I went to Erickson, John Deere, and graduated Moline in 2005. I also, let's see, I have a bachelor's in accountancy and a master's in statistics and decision analytics and a master's certificate in business analytics. what I want to bring to the table, something different, a different perspective. I want to bring a financial perspective to the school board. I know all of us here are very passionate about the students, the teachers. You know, I know numbers, I know budgets. I want to use my expertise to help out the community and the schools. So, yes.
Thank you so much. Well, it seems like microphone number 3 is working with Beth, so let's. All right, well, thank you for providing your introductions and your enthusiasm and willingness to be on the board. We're now proceeding to the questions portion for tonight's forum. Justin, you'll be the first to respond to question number 1. Once the question has been read, you'll have 90 seconds for your response. Here we go. Okay, ready? Question number 1. Is there a particular issue that motivates you more than others to serve on the Board of Education?
Yeah, for me, also, like Mariana just mentioned, with the financial background, for me, financial advisor, 5-day trade. And so my focus of interest is also finances, making sure that the district is running well, that the risks that are being taken are appropriate, the planning and budgeting as well. The statistics and those details, she'll have a little leg up on me on those parts. And so that'd be a great addition to the team. But for me, that's finance. That's my expertise by day. That's what I'm passionate about, to make sure that we're handling the taxpayers' money appropriately and as efficiently as we can to also accomplish what we need through them being respectful to your wallets as well. The one thing I like very much is being able to maintain or reduce our tax rate, and for several years in a row. That's one thing that I definitely like and pay close attention for the taxpayers' wallets as well.
Great, thank you. Nikki, you're up next. Is there a particular issue that motivates you more than others to serve on the Board of Education?
Yes, there is a couple of issues that plagued my interest when I was considering like this. Issues of parental rights are really important to me. And when I saw that the Savings Club was at Jane Addams, I was very upset because there was a lot of controversy in our community. And there are a lot of parents that thought that this was unacceptable. And the whole concept of parents and their viewpoints towards what's going on in their own community schools with their own students is very important to me. And I feel that parents really need to be supported as they try to be the responsible ones looking out for their children.
Thank you. Ramona, is there a particular issue that motivates you more than others to serve on the Board of Education?
So I'd like to paraphrase that. I would like to take the opportunity to look at it as a challenge versus an issue. But I talked about it in my introduction. The way that we do education is drastically changing. So the stakeholders that we do education for, we have to consider that, whether we're talking about funding, whether we're talking about the fundamentals of education, we have to change that. So the families that we service, they look different than they looked 10, 15, 20 years ago. The teachers that are teaching in our schools, there are more demands on those individuals than there were 10, 15, 20 years ago. The mental, the stresses that students, teachers, staff, custodial, maintenance, everyone in the district is getting now, those pressures, they're impacting our larger community. So those are challenges that we as a community can tackle. The school board and those members within can work with the administration to begin to look at it, but we're going to need the whole community to help with those challenges.
Thank you. Jason, is there a particular issue that motivates you more than others to serve on the Board of Education?
I'm going to piggyback on Ramona's comment here because I totally agree with her. And not only do we have education that looks different now than it did 10 years ago, but our kids are expanding what they leave, how they represent themselves, how they learn. And so our teachers need access to different ways to reach those kids. We need better access to teaching materials, classrooms. We need to promote equity across the board for our kids. And to be honest, sometimes that's going to cost some money. Sometimes that's going to require some budgetary input. I think we need to make sure that we're taking financial responsibility with putting the needs of our kids in our schools to that. You know, sometimes we need to make that commitment and make it good. And I want to make sure that each kid, regardless of their economic, background, their ethnicity, their orientation, that they have access to these things. They have equal voice in our school.
Thanks. Lindsay, is there a particular issue that motivates you more than others to serve on the Board of Education?
Yes, I would say much of the same as Ramona and Jason. I fully believe we have an opportunity here in Moline to create an even more inclusive district. So over the last handful of years, definitely since I graduated, which was more than a handful of years ago, but I've seen the expansion of the types of things that are being offered in school in terms of curriculum, the types of activities that are being offered, sports that are being offered, all of those things. So we've done a really great job in ensuring that we have the resources and the things in our district that will motivate and inspire every kid. But I think we have the opportunity to do better. So we can keep improving on that. Our teachers are just our greatest asset. You won't hear me say that enough. They're just our greatest asset. And our schools do a great job of serving the majority of our students. But I do think there are some students in some populations, specifically within our special needs group, that could be better served. And I think we could figure out how to define success for them and help them reach that, whatever that looks like. So that's what kind of motivates me.
Thanks. Mariella, is there a particular issue that motivates you more than others to serve on the Board of Education?
It looks like they already said everything that I wanted to say, but yes, I want our students to be prepared to conquer the world after graduation, and that also includes the language barrier. We have come, Moline and Echo Valley schools have come a long way with the language barriers. English is my second language. I bet I didn't learn English until I was 10, even though I went to Harrison, but there's still, the language barrier with the parents and the students in our community. So I just want to, oh my gosh. No. Yes, I just want to make sure that I'm using my expertise to better prepare our students for the real world out there, and to use my language and to be the voice for those who don't know English. Thank you.
Thank you. If you could pass the mic down to Nikki, she'll have the next question. Oh, I'm so sorry, Audrey, please. Thank you.
So much like many other individuals have said, equity is a huge issue that makes me run, is to make sure that we are providing accessible and outstanding education to all students that make a choice, that their families make a choice to have Moline Coal Valley be their home. But we do that in a variety of ways. And the board, I think, has worked very hard during my time and the previous years before that of increasing the amount of resources we give our educators and how we can prioritize our finances, as Justin said, to make sure that we're putting those in the right place to provide the best education for everybody that comes. Another thing that I think a way we can provide equity as well is that we trust, an issue for me is that we trust the educators and staff that we hire. They are the experts in what they do, and we need to trust them to educate our children. And to be the librarians to our children, to be the administrators who are helping form decisions about curriculum for our students. So we need to know that we are hiring good people, which the board is responsible for hiring the superintendent, who then hires and helps hire all of these other individuals who will then hopefully create a wonderful school environment for our students. And I want to be part of that continuing in this district.
Thank you. And my apologies again. All right, Mickey, now it's your turn for question number 2. What attributes and behaviors are essential for school board members? If you have any particular experiences or skills that have prepared you for this position, please elaborate.
I consider my main qualities for being on the school board to be that I am a parent and a grandmother. I am a longtime resident of Moline and a taxpayer. And I'm deeply concerned with our students, but sometimes people want other things when they ask that question. So I'm also college graduated. I have a BS in interior design and a BA in general studio art. I'm a licensed commercial interior designer, most recently retired in the Army Corps of Engineers. I spent my whole career as a commercial interior designer. And I have many skills from being in that position. While I was there, I was the head interior designer, and I was responsible for all things that had to do with interior design and furniture throughout the entire Middle East. In addition to performing full design and my own work, I also supervised the work of hired interior designers for the Corps. While I was doing this, I developed a lot of skills. I developed skills in leadership, teamwork, and managing and completing massive and complicated projects on time. I negotiated with government rules and regulations and managed to get my work done in spite of the very difficult task of maneuvering around all the rules and regulations. In other words, I had a lot of problems and I was successful at it. But I think that these skills that I had in my job with the government are very transferable to the school board position because you work on a team, you have rules and regulations to work with. I've worked with a lot of financial issues because the work that we did was in billions. And so for this reason, I think that I am qualified to be on the school board and have a lot to offer.
Thank you. Ramona, you're up. What attributes and behaviors are essential for school board members? And if you have any in particular experiences or skills that have prepared you for this position, please elaborate.
As Audrey noted earlier, the role of the school board is to govern over the superintendent. So the board adopts, enforces, monitors, and governs policy, school policies. That school policy is nothing that we create here. We create local procedures and protocols, but our number one job is to hold the superintendent accountable to those who have been hired under their umbrella. And so I think that is a very important piece of knowing your role on the school board. When we talk about as an educator, I've already shared with you guys that I have that experience as an educator and an administrator. We don't go taking over those administrators' roles, duties, and responsibilities because we've hired and we trust that they're doing the job. Our goal is to question when things don't seem clear to us or the public. For you guys, when you're bringing things to us, just a question is to collaborate with those administrators within the district, mainly the superintendent, who then collaborates with her team on those questions that we have that might be lingering in our community. So I feel like the qualifications to be a school board member, the knowledge, skills, and abilities are to be competent, to be collaborative, to be committed to the work, to be courageous, to be able to ask the questions, but know that you can't come to this table being an advocate for your own personal reasons, and just have the heart to lead people.
Thank you. Jason, what attributes and behaviors are essential for school board members? If you have any in particular experiences or skills that prepared you for this position, please elaborate.
Sure. I think as a coach, one thing that you need to do to coach well is take complex issues and simplify them in a way that other people can pick up on them quickly without really diving into what you do. And I see that on the school board. I've been going to meetings now for about a year, and they're dealing with complex stuff. They're dealing with taxes, dealing with all kinds of heavy documents, but they do a great job of summarizing that in a way that the general public can understand it and get the idea right away on when they're voting. And so I think that's going to be, for any of us, we need to be able to do that. We need to be able to communicate that well with complex ideas. Beyond that, if you can't tell, brevity is something that I really appreciate. If you read my bio, it's definitely the shortest one. And so, so I'm not very long-winded when it comes to those things, but I also think we have 7 people working together. So we need to be able to work with different opinions, you know, work with different people and different personalities and find common ground. And I think a big aspect of that is integrity. Who is going to stand for what they actually believe in? And that's fine. That's the time to have that conversation. But when a vote has happened, when the vote has been completed, will you join with your team in presenting that to the community? Hold to that, or will you go to social media and blast the administration and blast the superintendent? I think that that's a very important aspect, and we need to look at, if you're going to vote for somebody here, are they going to support the school district? Are they going to support this team, or are they going to go back to, you know, other squares and then take that and air their grievances? I think that's a big integrity issue.
Thank you. Lindsay, what attributes and behaviors are essential for school board members? If you have any particular experiences or skills that have prepared you for this position, please elaborate.
Yeah, so I think a couple of the biggest skills would probably be listening and empathy. So, you know, like several of the other folks have mentioned, we're going to have to work pretty closely as a team. We're going to have to be collaborating with members of the community. We want to make sure that we're being good partners with our superintendent, our administration. But you have to listen. I think that's kind of where it starts. And again, our teachers and not just the teachers, everyone that's working in the schools, you know, lunchroom staff, maintenance, our counselors, all of those people are facing kind of unprecedented times, and they need all the support they can get. So I think it all starts there. For a living, I work full time for OptumRx, which, if you don't know, that's a health services company, and I manage our provider satisfaction. And our providers oftentimes are not satisfied with our services. And so I have to do a lot of listening, a lot of reframing and kind of breaking things down, like Jason was mentioning, and make sure that, you know, I'm understanding where they're coming from, they're understanding where I'm coming from, just to get to kind of that middle ground and get to that at least understanding. And maybe we can't make everybody happy, but if we all understand what our greater purpose is and what we're ultimately trying to do, I think we can definitely make some steps towards that.
Thank you. Mariella, what attributes and behaviors are essential for school board members? If you have any particular experiences or skills that have prepared you for this position, please elaborate.
So you definitely have to be a good listener, and be a good, work well as a team and ask questions. I believe no question is a dumb question, just ask questions, you know, and also to know what is being presented in front of you. The school board has to make the decisions, and sometimes they have to make tough decisions. So it's good to have a board that has different perspectives and comes from different backgrounds. So I think me in general understanding budgets and finance, and statistics, I know how easy it is to manipulate data to favor a certain group or category. So I'll definitely be asking the tough questions, you know, so that way we can all come together as a team and make a good decision for all of us.
Thank you. Audrey, what attributes and behaviors are essential for school board members? If you have any particular experiences or skills that have prepared you for this position, please elaborate.
Okay, so I think the main attribute is really understanding what the role is and what the role isn't. And as many people have referenced, it's knowing that we are supporting and hiring a superintendent to do good work, and then representing our community that elects us, and being that liaison between those two entities to make sure that people know where to go to ask good questions if they have concerns or other things like that. But I think some of the attributes is that you need to be a really thoughtful decision maker. You need to be rational as you look at all of the information that comes before you and ask the questions, as many people have mentioned, but just be thoughtful as you consider all of the options and who the stakeholders are, and who those decisions are going to impact. We have finite resources and we need to make difficult decisions sometimes about where those go. But we need to do the best by the greater good. I think one of the other areas I think is that in my work, I work a lot with career pathways, work with college students. And so understanding kind of what are the options for our students, and as things come before the board, I think being able to look at those things critically to know kind of how are we preparing. The portrait of a graduate was mentioned before, like what are we preparing our students for? What will their next great step be? College, career, otherwise after they leave Moline. And so I think that's an attribute I have, as well as that I work a lot with individuals and groups to help come to consensus. And I think that's a huge part of being important.
Thank you. Justin, what attributes and behaviors are essential for school board members? If you have any particular experiences or skills that shoot for this position, please elaborate.
Well, most of it's been mentioned already. There's definitely integrity, openness, open to being talked to, an attribute, being available to your community and to school district, and just as a representative. The board, also remember, the board represents the community, the district, and helps work with what the community wants and what the district needs to do. And it bridges that gap to represent 7 of us, about 70,000 amongst the Moline Valley population. It's a lot of people. There's a lot of ways to look at all the issues, and it's the knowledge that and asking questions to understand a whole viewpoint of a topic. There's the way I see that from here. You see it. You see it. All the different ways to look at something. Gain as much circular understanding as you can. So then when it comes time for the thoughtful decision making, you're going to make a decision that and a vote that not just affects the people who see this the way you do, but everybody else and everybody else's viewpoints and how it affects their day-to-day life as well. Integrity, open, don't be afraid to hold a line when you have to. It's something that your community is asking you to do that you believe in with them. And understand that you do, at the end of the day, it's collaboration. You work together, you learn where everybody's at, you come to a consensus that works for the whole community.
Thank you. If you please pass the mic for Ramona, she'll kick us off. Ramona, what is the school board member's role and responsibility? How does that differ from the role of a superintendent or administration?
I think we kind of hit on that one in the previous question. I think I went way over my explanation, so I'll probably be brief. The board supports the superintendent in that we fire the superintendent. That's the only employee that the board has any jurisdiction over. The board adopts and enforces, monitors, governs policy. But the superintendent holds everyone else in the school district accountable for doing their jobs. Like I mentioned earlier, the board should ensure alignment with the Illinois School Code, the Illinois State Board of Education guidance that comes out. That's why it's important that we are in a position where we do our due diligence to read those packets when they come out, to educate ourselves and to ask questions directly of the superintendent if we have them. Honor and respect the process protocols that the superintendent and her administrative team have in place by going directly to the superintendent, establishing that open collaborative conversation. We are the liaisons, like Justin alluded to, between the district and our community. And so again, our point of contact as a school board member is the superintendent. Other critical duties that we do, we approve the district's budget. Personnel matters, when any issues may arise, we collaboratively tackle those issues or challenges with the superintendent. We ask questions of that person. We remain open, listening ears, and then we actively seek involvement from our stakeholder groups.
Thank you. Jason, what is the school board member's role and responsibility? How does that role differ from the role of the superintendent?
I think Ramon killed it, so I'm just gonna say. Perfect. I think, so my focus is to talk about what school board member is, what our job is. Because I think there's some misconceptions. For example, if I was a school board member, I can tell you right now, I'm never going to show up at a classroom unannounced and sit in the classroom and watch that teacher take notes. That's not my job. That goes through the superintendent and then is brought to the school. So I think that would be an abuse of power. And so I think we need to be careful about some of those things. School board member also doesn't develop policy themselves. You know, they're going to vote on it, they're going to discuss it, they're going to throw some things in there. But when it comes to some of these controversial topics, we're not there setting up policy. We're not there setting books that might or how we're going to teach classes, things like that. There's a proper flow of information, a proper process for how those things happen. And so it's important that each school board member and us as a team understands and respects that process and follows it. So second Ramona, and then Zach will move forward on.
Thank you. Lindsay, what is the school board member's role and responsibility? How does that role differ from the role of the superintendent or administration?
Yeah, so again, I think it's pretty much been covered. I will say, second to what Justin said, we are here to represent the community and kind of understand what the community wants for our students after they graduate. And ultimately, I think we all want successful graduates coming out of Moline and hopefully at some point making their way back here and becoming productive members of our local community here. So yeah, I think that.
Mariella, what is the school board member's role and responsibility? How does that role differ from the role of the superintendent or administration?
Ditto, no, just kidding. No, so I think definitely to ensure that procedures and policies are being enforced and make sure that our policies are not leaving any student behind. With the superintendent, definitely have a good relationship with the superintendent. And just, I guess, of course, just like Jason said, like, we're not going to be in the school and watching over the students back. I don't think my kids would like that, actually. But yes, definitely enforcing, making sure that the policies are beneficial for all of us.
Audrey, what is the school board member's role and responsibility? How does that role differ from the role of the superintendent or administration?
So a lot of this has been covered, but I will, when I first became a board member, we have to go through a lot of trainings. This is a volunteer role, but it has a pretty steep learning curve that involves a lot of compliance and guidelines and really being trusted is something important in our community. Our role is to be one of 7. We are not a voice on our own making decisions. We have to come to that consensus. The trainer, the district person for the Illinois Association of School Boards, they describe it as that we are in the balcony and the administration is on the dance floor. And we are not the ones doing the things. We're the one kind of overseeing the things, making sure that things are happening that should be happening in our district, asking the questions when we need to, and watching that happen and providing some guidance, but we're not getting in there and doing the things. That even for me, I know that as a school board member, but at the same time, like I'm the type of person who wants to jump in and do the things like in volunteering in places. And so this has been a much different volunteer role for me than anything else I've ever done, but really enjoyable to learn about those roles that we really have. Another big thing I'd like to say is that we help set those goals though. So even though the district, the administration, the superintendent, we take these goals and then our superintendent gets to run with them to figure out which one the FER experts, what of the teachers, the staff, who are going to implement these things for our students in our community. So that's the big difference is that we help come up with those things. We make sure policies are being followed. We make sure that financial things are correct. But then we also just get to watch them hopefully do their work and continue to supervise them. So lots of differences, but a great collaborative environment.
Justin, what is the school board member's role and responsibility? How does that role differ from the role of the superintendent or administration?
I think it's been covered pretty well, pretty detailed. The only thing that I would also add on top to all of that is a board member should also be very in tune with what's going on in our community, all the aspects. If we're part of who sets the goals and puts those forward, then yes, there's a whole lot of code regulations and all of those that fit within and follow. But we should be in tune with what our communities wanting us to do. What are those goals? How do we relay that? And how are we learning from all aspects of those we represent?
Mickey, what's the school board member's role and responsibility, and how does that role differ from the role of the superintendent or administration?
Well, this is an elected position, so people vote. And I see the school board member as the representative of the parents in the district, because this is their voice, they get to vote. And I feel that the school board members need to listen very carefully to the families in the community. The function is as it's described, but it's a serious duty to represent accurately the families in the school district. And I feel like as an elected position, we need to really focus on what is being said by the families.
Thank you. If you please pass the mic to Jason, we need our next question. Jason, you have question number 4. What is the public relations role of the board? How would you improve the current communication with the community?
It's a hard one. Okay. I think that we've said it before, a liaison between parents and school district is a huge part of it. We need to be able to listen to parents, listen to people come in these meetings and speak openly, help represent those views. But the other part of that is to be very upfront on what we can and can't control, not to make promises, not to say, hey, we can change this, I can do this. Be very upfront and say, you don't have, that's outside of my purview. I can help you get that answer, I can help point you in the right direction, but I think I can't answer that specific. When it comes to communication with the school, this district is awesome. As a parent, I can tell you right now, get communications immediately, well informed, descriptive, or detailed. I was joking with my wife earlier today, the kid in preschool or grade school, middle school, and high school, you're getting 3 different communication tools. And so that can be, in some ways, feel like a lot. And so I would love to bring my expertise in technology to help find a way to maybe simplify that, maybe streamline that. Each app that we use has different pros and cons. And so that's why we use them, but there's always room for improvement. So communication from the teachers to technology.
Thank you. Lindsay, what is the public relations role of the board? How would you improve the current communication with your community?
Yeah, so as I mentioned in my introduction, I'm pretty involved in the community. I think that's very important. Having those connections with different nonprofit organizations, different community supporters, different businesses that are out there, and kind of understand what's going on locally in our community and take that back to the board. And actually just over the last few weeks during this process, I've had a chance to sit in on several other meetings and meet several other groups and hear their perspectives. And these have been both groups that support the school directly, as well as groups that are just kind of out there in our community doing good things. And I've been able to hear their challenges and kind of understand how a better relationship or a better partnership with the district may be mutually beneficial for our students, for our teachers, and for our community. So I would love the opportunity to continue to do that, to continue to meet with those new groups that I'm not already plugged into. A couple of us had even talked about, if we are elected, deciding, in an official capacity, maybe doing some sort of rotation at those meetings, just so we can keep a pulse on what's going on out there in our community. Like I said, both with the groups directly supporting the school and with others just, out there doing good and hopefully getting students involved in those good things too. So I think that would be the big part. As Jason said, I do think we have an opportunity to streamline our communications a bit because we are using multiple different technologies.
Thank you. Mariella, what is the public relations role of the board? How would you improve the current communication with the community?
Definitely listen and be a resource. Just like Jason said, we can't answer all the questions that they have. So definitely, when you're out there, a board member is in the spotlight. They represent the school district. And even me right now campaigning, they're like, oh, well, if you get elected, you have to do this, this, and this. I'm like, okay, thank you. You know, but definitely listen. And if you can't help them, you know, be a resource and be like, okay, I think I know where to get you help that you need. And especially, again, here in our school district, there's a large ESL community. I'm from the Floreciente neighborhood, so that, you know, there's a lot of first generation immigrants there. So those people who do not have a voice, how can they ask questions if you don't know what they're saying? So I think me knowing Spanish, I can help them and listen to them and be a resource because they are currently underserved.
Thank you. Audrey, what is the public relations role of the board? How would you improve the current communication with the community?
I think our role is that to be a connector. And so we need to be available and accessible and help individuals in the community that have elected us be aware of how they can interact with the board and how they can have concerns with the district be addressed. As many of the others at the table have said, that we are not the problem solvers, but we will connect people to the ones that have the answers. And so that's making sure that we're using the proper channels of communication when people reach out to us. But I do believe that we do need to make people more aware of what the board does and how they can connect with us to connect with the rest of the district. And so that's making sure that we're out there in those community organizations, that we're attending other meetings, that people know that we are board members, that we direct them to the right places on the website. All of our phone numbers that are current board members are right there. All of our emails are right there on the website, so people can get a hold of us at any time they want, not for us to solve those problems, but to help connect people and be that liaison to the problem solving. But I think overall, in a PR perspective, we're also part of the face of the district. Our superintendent is the primary face of the district, but we need to be a cheerleader for that as well. With that united front when decisions are made, that we need to make sure that the community feels good about the things that are happening, but also good about when there are issues that they're being resolved in the right way and that we're taking concerns seriously. So our role of the board is to be that Moline cheerleader and connector.
Thank you. Justin, what is the public relations role of the board, and how would you improve the current communication with the community?
I don't agree with what anybody said so far about public relations. We're supposed to be available, out there, connected, involved, and be the receiving sounding board as well as the connector. And Jason's right, we don't promise an outcome, but we can promise to connect them to the process and then help ensure that the process takes place properly. And it's also for your voters, we're one of 7 to represent the whole community. It's also be a voice back to the district for the folks that you're hearing from, and advocate for those that are reaching out to you that you're representing. It's also, once a vote happens, whether you are on the positive, negative side of it or it's unanimous, you're one voice. You move forward in unison because that's what the community's decided, and the representatives of it therefore have enacted.
Thanks. Mickey, what is the public relations role of the board, and how would you improve the current communication with the community?
Well, I'm last, so I mean, everybody said much of what has to be said about the function. You can't stress too much how important it is to listen, but it is a board of 7 people. And there are a lot of concerns. There's different concerns. Everybody has their own concern. We have to be very transparent to people, parents, families that are talking to us about their concerns, about what we can do, what it's possible to do. And we have to be transparent about the results of decisions, like posting them on the Facebook, whatever communication to the public so that there's transparency. And people know that the things that we are deliberating about have been taken seriously and have had the whole due process. It is a difficult thing to work on a committee. There's 7 people, there's 7 perspectives. It's a teamwork effort.
If you pass it to Ramona, please. Ramona, what is the public relations role of the board? How would you improve the current communication with the community?
I think the public relations of the board are concerned with, like my peers said, listening. Communication is key. You can never over communicate. And it's important to communicate in various mechanisms because we are dealing with different stakeholder groups. So sometimes we can't assume that because we put it out there one time via email or whatever, that stakeholders have it. So that over communication is key. I believe that the board is the liaison between the community, which some community members may be employees of the district, but they are. I think it's important that we embrace the idea that those individuals that are employed by the board are still community members too. So you can participate in board meetings, you can come as informed citizens, and that we are the pulse. We're the pulse readers of the community. People come to us. Our job is to bring it back to the superintendent so that the superintendent can then connect with her administrative staff because they are the subject matter experts. And I failed to address this in the last question when it said the superintendent and the administration. And this would be a task for me as a person who's an administrator in another district to make sure that I stick to it as well, because I may think that I am a subject matter expert and I cannot do that. It's not in sync with what my role would be as a school board member to go to those individuals. So I need to go to the superintendent as well. So communication.
Thank you. If you'd please pass the mic to Lindsay, she'll lead off our next question. Question number 5. Lindsay, what is your vision for education in this community?
Right. So as I mentioned, I actually just took part in the first session of Portrait of a Graduate, which like I mentioned, that's kind of designing what we would like our graduates to look like coming out of Moline High School. We had such good discussion there. I think ultimately I would like our students to be able, we do a lot of teaching of kind of hard skills. I think we need to lean into some of those soft skills a little bit more. And by soft skills, I mean being able to collaborate with folks, dealing with different personalities, leading through change or through conflict, conflict resolution, all of those different things, because we're trying to prepare them for jobs that may not exist yet. So many of the jobs that are out there today didn't exist 10 years ago. Certainly not when I was in high school, they didn't exist. So I think we can continue on what we're doing, but I also think we need to take a look at some of those other skills that may be less finite and more qualitative. So that's what I would like to see for our students coming out of Moline.
Thank you. Mariella, what is your vision for education in this community?
Definitely prepare our students for the real world after graduation. I have a senior in high school, and even though I chose the college job, my son didn't, and that's all right. He's, there's trades out there. There's the social services, military. I think if we train and educate our students right way and as well as mentally, to be able to kind of be on their own, to be adults, good adults, once they graduate.
Thank you. Audrey, what is your vision for education in this community?
My vision is that all of our families and students feel they can come as they are to our schools from the time they enter in pre-K up till when they're graduating on to their next great step. And then all of our educators feel supported and given the resources they need. And the rest of our staff also feel supported in the role they play in educating our students. And I think as Lindsay and stuff has said that We need to be preparing our students for their next step, whatever that step may be, and starting to have some of those conversations earlier and often about the skills they're developing so that they can go be the best of whatever that is when they leave you, that they feel prepared both with those essential skills as well as maybe some of the hard technical skills. I'm really proud of our district as we've launched into developing many career pathways. We have our Grow Your Own Teacher program. We have different things within our CNC and other areas like that with the trades. And we're exploring other options to make sure that students get connected to the thing that drives them to want to go from kindergarten through that last day and walk across that stage. So my vision for it is that we make this a place people want to be and want to graduate from, that families want to be.
Thank you. Justin, what is your vision for education in this community?
A warm, welcoming, loving place. That everyone can walk in, just like Audrey said, kindergarten to graduation. And be able to feel warm, accepted, loved in themselves, whomever, and however they may be. Mentioned we don't know what pathway people are going to go. I believe we need to continue stepping towards preparing people to live a day-to-day life. Not just book, but in a household. How to have your own place, your own entity, keep it. Be responsible with it, and all the different pathways someone may go. One of my 4 own children who have graduated and gone forward in life, 2 have chose college, 1 chose the workforce, and 1 chose the military. Who knows, even in your own household, where someone will go. Everyone needs the opportunity to be able to have the launch pad they need to go live as productive and successful life as they can. I think a warm, loving, caring and accepting environment teaches the core, and anything else they need will help them get there.
Thank you. Mickey, what is your vision for education in this community?
My vision is that we would graduate from high school, kids that are extremely well prepared in all the basic academic subjects, the reading, writing, and arithmetic, so to speak, that they would be competent and efficient in what they know, that they are well prepared to go out to the next step, whether it be college or into the workplace, but that we would not be apologetic about what they had learned. My vision is that they would learn in the schools to get along with each other, to be civil, even if they encounter people that they don't like, to, just like in a workplace, put aside their differences and treat each other with civility. We have a lack of that sometimes, and we really need it. But we need to train our kids as well, that there's differences in the world. People are different, and nobody has to be the same as you. People are all different, but we must be civil to each other and put our eyes on the task. Just like in a workforce, we need to focus on the mission. We need to focus on the mission of learning math, reading, of the other academic subjects, and treat each other with a dignified civility.
Thank you. You pass to Ramona, please. Ramona, what is your vision for education in this community?
My vision for education in this community is that all truly means all. So all kids, all stakeholders, all teachers, everybody around the table embracing that notion of equity. So if we get there, I know we will get there. One of the things that the district has started, and I think Lindsay alluded to it, was the graduate profile. I was super excited to be a part of that work as well, in the fact that knowing that we could look at what we desire, that vision, that long-term vision, know it can't happen in 1 year or 2 years. It may not even happen in the next 3, but if we have a vision in mind, a goal set, we will be more apt to achieve that goal than if we didn't have one set. So, you know, one of the pieces that the presenter honed in on was that college and or career should be accessible. So we know here in the Moline School District that we're training kids, should they choose college, if they choose military, whatever they choose, they're prepared for it. So the coursework that we offer here, the soft skills that some of the coursework and the well-rounded education that we provide them, that they're getting that collaboration, that teamwork, that empathy, that we're immersing that into how we deliver education here is exciting to know. I believe that those 21st century work skills are what we need to make sure that our students are prepared for whatever. Things change daily. Technology is evolving. AI is a big thing. It's, I know if you're in high school English teacher, you're probably worried about, paper writing. I have class right now. So why do I have this conversation every day? So that's my vision for the district.
Thank you. Jason, what is your vision for education in this
Echoing everybody else, but I would say, one, I would love to see our school district be a better representation of rich diversity in the Moreno Valley. Whether that be ethnicity, sexual orientation, whether that be gender, whether that be religion, that those kids from all these different backgrounds have a voice, have inclusion, can be involved in leadership roles. I think we made some huge strides in that, but I think we have more work to do. And I want to see our school district be a place that is welcoming to everyone, regardless of where they come from, what they believe, those kinds of things. The other thing is, I don't think there's a finished picture for our education. It's a fluid process. It's always changing. We're learning more every day. We just actually brought in a new math curriculum that talks about breakout sessions and things like that. And so I'm inspired to see that we're not afraid to shirk off teaching styles that are getting outdated, teaching ideas that are finding aren't as strong as some of these new ideas. And so I want to see that collaboration, that partnership between parents and the school district, that we're open to taking those steps, taking those leaps, and finding ways to connect with each kid, whether it be through IEPs and special ed, whether it be through new teaching styles, but that we're doing everything we can to reach every kid that might learn a little bit differently than most of the kids would learn, so that they can also succeed in our level.
Thank you. Please pass the mic to Mariella. She'll kick off our next question. Mariella, what are the strengths of the Moline-Cole Valley School District?
Definitely our diversity. Not only culturally, but also look at our extracurricular activities. We have a club for everything now. That's awesome. I mean, we can always use more clubs, but yes, I remember when I was in high school, that was when they actually started a chess club. They started an LGBTQ plus club back in 2005, and we've come a long way since then. And then the other part of diversity, like culturally, yes, like there's, I'm all about statistics. I read online at the high school that 1 in 4 students are Hispanic, 1 in 10 are Black African American. Overall, about 48% of all of our students are minorities. So diversity is huge, and it's fantastic.
Thank you. You pass the mic down to Audrey, please. Audrey, what are the strengths of the Moline-Cole Valley School District?
There are so many. So just to narrow it down a little bit, one thing that I have been so impressed with in the last several years being on the board is that we have really put an intentional focus on recognizing that schools are not just places that students show up at and learn subjects at and then leave, but they bring their whole self to them. And that we needed to have social emotional learning happening, where we're having, intentional discussions, that we're training our staff to be able to have those sorts of discussions with students, to support them, to provide the resources needed, that we've purchased resources and tools to sort of evaluate the needs of our students, and how we have different learners at all different levels coming to our district, people coming from all over, not just even the Midwest. And we have several refugees in our district, and so making sure we're being welcoming to them and being able to understand their needs. And so that's something I think we do really well, is that we look at the whole student, and there are so many different sorts of barriers, but also just advantages that some of our students come with, and looking at all of those to make sure that we're serving them really well.
Thank you. Justin, what are the strengths of the Moline-Cole Valley School District?
I think one of the biggest strengths is our staff and our team. I think we have an amazing staff and administration around all of our buildings, where I do believe every kid is welcomed in by name with a hug if they want it. And they feel the warmth and the welcomeness right away. That comes with community support, another one of our strengths. The community is there behind us in a positive way, always, and in a vocal way when needed. I also believe that bringing in, I mentioned what my 4 kids who graduated and gone on to the next step of life, and down to one right here is brought back trades. My high schoolers chosen their trade, yet another pathway out of my own household. It's amazing to see when they're all given the right platform, where they can go and what they can choose to do and succeed. I think that's our strength. I think we give the kids that. I think everyone that is on the team in some role, current board members, past board members, staff in any of the buildings, they genuinely want to see the kids succeed and the students succeed in the community as well.
Thank you. Mickey, what are the strengths of the Moline Valley School District?
I also believe that there are a lot of good teachers here in this district, and that there is a great effort to provide for the needs of the students. And that being said, we have a lot of different backgrounds here in this community. We have a wealth of cultures, different types of people, and that is a strength. It is a great privilege to have people of all different types coming to the school. It makes our school very rich. So between good teachers and a rich variety of students, it's a good mix.
Thank you. Ramona? What are the strengths of the Moline Valley School District?
There are many strengths that the district has. I'll start with the partnership between the Moline Valley School District and the Moline Police Department. That is like none that I've ever seen. And I've seen education happen in 5 different states. The partnership is something that this community should be proud of. This district, the administration, the teachers and staff. I mean, you guys is something to be very proud of. I also believe that we have a great sense of school pride here. As I noted earlier, I'm not from here. We drove in from Virginia on a Wednesday, probably at about 3:30, walked into Franklin Elementary School. School was literally closed, but the principal then walked with myself and my husband I had one girl that was school age. She was in 1st grade. It was the last month of school. He walked us through there. Those teachers stayed after. They walked me through their classrooms. I felt a sense of relief knowing that my 1st grader had just transitioned from Virginia, coming here as an educator mom. That's all I talked about on the car ride here. My husband was probably like overwhelmed and he just wanted to put me at ease. And so when the principal said, sure, I'll walk you through, and the teachers just embraced us, that was our family. Franklin will always be family. And it just resonated, with us into, like, when it was kind of a no-brainer. When my husband decided that he was getting out, stay here. This is the only place that we've been able to call home in my adult life outside of South Carolina. And that sense of family is instilled here.
Thank you. Jason, what are the strengths of the Moline Valley School District?
It goes without saying, our teachers and our educators and all that, but I think what really kind of gets me and really inspires me are the people that are involved with our school district that are not in the classrooms, whether it be our custodial staff. Keith Carson and his staff do a phenomenal job and are here at all hours, making sure our schools are up and running and everything is ready. People on the staff who we're losing our CFO to retirement, and I'll be honest, I think he's a titan. There's some huge shoes to fill. I'm going to call him out embarrassing, but people who have given their lives, who have given years to the school, they're not just punching the clock. They're not coming in 9 to 5, but they are here every night. They're here every day, pouring into the school, and they're not being celebrated on the same level as our teachers and our educators. So I think that that's a strength that we have that I don't know about other school districts, but man, we're lucky to have people like that are here every day, making sure that everything's running smoothly and they're not getting the same thank yous. So that's a huge strength to me.
Thank you. Lindsay, what are the strengths of the Moline Valley School District?
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to go with staff and our community partnerships as well. And as Jason mentioned, it's not just our teachers, it's the staff working at every level of every school. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a student in our district that wasn't able to find an adult in the school that they could connect with, that they trust, that they feel like they can talk to. And I think that's so important. To make you feel like you belong, to make you feel like you're included, and to make you feel safe. As we know, school safety is a hot issue too. So I think that goes a long way. And then, like Ramona was talking about, you know, the partnership between our schools and our police department is phenomenal. I'm impressed by that every day at every event. But along with them, you know, the city itself, Metro, we have a great partnership with them. The schools do a lot of work with nonprofits in the area, like the Gray Matters Collective. They do a lot of work with the high school, Foster's Voice. We've got the Breakfast Optimist Club. We've got kids in elementary schools reading to seniors that live in assisted living facilities. Those types of things, just again, I'm super impressed by the partnerships that we have. And then we have companies that show up again and again to support our students by donating their time, their money. They donate food to our sports teams, to our events. So that community pride, it goes a long way. And I think our school would look a lot different without it. So we should all be really proud of those relationships that we've cultivated.
Thank you. Candidates, this will be our last question before we move into closing remarks. And Audrey, you'll kick it off for us. Audrey, in regards to the Moline Coal Valley District as it currently is, do you see a specific need for improvement? If so, do you have any suggestions on how this can be?
Yes, so one of the wonderful things as a board member got to do is set goals. So we are looking for continuous improvement. There's nothing that we look at and go, okay, that's done. So, you know, we look for the areas we need to improve, and then sometimes we make changes, and the district and administration makes those changes, and some of them become, some are one-offs and others are part of what becomes part of the fabric of what we do every day. So some of the areas that I think we're still working to improve is making sure that our staff at all levels is representative of the community that we serve. Just increasing diversity across our staff, recruiting and retaining a diverse workforce. And I know that HR works in that area, trying to make sure we're reaching out to different types of places, hiring boards, colleges and universities, et cetera, to try to do that sort of recruitment level. So that way our students see themselves in the people who are teaching them, working in their buildings, doing everything in our district, and look at the opportunities that are available to them in those sorts of roles. And then just some other areas might also just be as we continue to look at facilities equity. That's something we address. We have limited resources, so we need to make decisions about where we spend our money to make sure that all of our students and our staff are working in equitable facilities. And so every district has deferred maintenance and all of the things that we have amazing staff who keeps our facilities running and in the best shape possible, but we know that there are areas that we want to continue to work on to improve for all of our students and the community.
Thank you. Justin, in regards to the Moline Coal Valley District as it currently is, do you see a specific need for improvement? If so, do you have any suggestions on how this can become?
Where I see it, ongoing work, always. One thing we're focused on in our life very much, bringing critical thinking back, bringing navigation day-to-day life back. And I believe that that's one thing I want to continue working on and helping see happen is prepare our kids for real life. Not just an academic environment, not just a friendly environment, but everything they'll face in life out there. Prepare them for budget checkbooks, cleaning, basic skills to exist. I think that's just in general, not our district alone, but I think that's something that's been left behind a little too much. I think that's one thing I would like to see focused on, brought back into a main goal and brought back.
Thank you. Mickey, in regards to the Moline Coal Valley District as it currently is, do you see a specific need for improvement? If so, do you have any suggestions on how this can be helped?
I think that what needs to be improved is some of our scores, especially in reading and math. Reading and math, core proficiencies that we don't have the best scores on. These are important technical areas that our kids need. I mean, there's many other things that are important, but if our kids can't do math and read, they're not prepared to go out into the world. And our scores should be higher. We have a lot of room to go there. I would say that we should focus in on some of the areas where we are academically underperforming and put more resources to those and less resources to things that are not as critical for our kids.
Thank you. Ramona, in regards to the Moline Coal Valley District as it currently is, do you see a specific need for improvement? If so, do you have any suggestions on how this can be helped?
Yes, I believe wholeheartedly in well-rounded education. And a part of well-rounded education involves the academic component, but also looking at students their whole lives. We don't just service the student, we service the parent. And unfortunately, some of our kids, there's the situations that they're afforded that comes into the classroom. Classroom teachers are overwhelmed a lot of times with some of the issues that are beyond their control. So I think one of the things that we get focused in on as an area of opportunity is diversity. Embracing that diversity. Audrey alluded to the human capital aspect of it, having students, having teachers that represent a population of students that are being serviced. I wholeheartedly agree with that. And then I would just like to focus in on the academic component. We do a great job with the number of AP classes, dual enrollment, higher level rigor supports that we have in place for our district in order to expand the access and offer opportunities to those who might not otherwise afford them. I think it's essential that we put supports in place when we get those students in those classes, that they have the supports they need to be successful. This will help them be successful when they do go to college as well. Because I do believe many of those students that come from those underrepresented backgrounds can go to college with the proper supports here. So I believe that could be an area of focus as we look at tackling one of those challenges. Sorry, time up.
Thank you. Jason, in regards to the Moline Valley District as it currently is, do you see a specific need for improvement? If so, do you have any suggestions on how this can be done?
Sure. Recently, we just did a ribbon cutting the other side of this high school for the Aspire wing. I knew you were there. And it was recently reported at a school board meeting that we've gained back over 100 days of suspension by having that Aspire wing, having kids with behavioral issues, serving that time, and going through that with counseling in school and then going back to class. Huge step forward. And then first of all, I want to thank the school board members who were here that voted for that. Audrey, thank you. For people here that are on the school board out there, thank you. But we're not done. We need more resources for our social workers. We need more resources for our counselors. I think our goal should be 0 for out of school suspension. Our goal for truancy should be 0. And that means that we need to devote that focus to making sure those kids are being reached out to, those parents are being reached out to, and then we're finding ways to educate them in a way that they can learn and then get them back into the high school, into our schools where they're learning amongst peers. So the Aspire was a huge step in the right direction, but to me, kind of gets my engine running on what's the next step now? How do we continue to pour into that? So that would be my main area of focus.
Thank you. Lindsay, in regards to the Moline Coal Valley District as it currently is, do you see a specific need for improvement? If so, do you have any suggestions on how this can help?
Yeah, so I think diversity and inclusivity are the big ones for me. And, again, we're so lucky to have a diverse group of folks that live in Moline, that go to Moline schools. But diversity, it's broader than just folks from different races or that have different religions. We have students with different, neurodiversities and physical ability diversities and people with different home lives, like Ramona alluded to. We have kids that are LGBTQ plus and they're struggling with their own types of issues. So we have to be very aware of all of these things that are going on And again, our teachers are overwhelmed, our staff in general is overwhelmed. So we have to do a better job of supporting them. And I think our district's done a great job. We've implemented some new mental health resources and emotional health resources, which is critical at this point in time. So I think we just need to kind of double down there. I also mentioned previously in one of my other answers about our special needs group of kids that we have in the Moline district. And I've been talking to some parents of some of those children. And, just as an example, at Hamilton, we have our life skills class, and that group of kids, there's a broad range of abilities in that class, all in one class. And because of that, some of the kids that are in that class get very overwhelmed and very overstimulated easily. So they come in a separate door to the school. But because of that, some of the other kids in that class feel very secluded and feel very kind of left out. So if we can figure out a way to try to kind of re-engage those kids into the main parts of the school and the main events of the school, I think we'd be much better off.
Thank you. Mariella, in regards to the Moline Cove Valley District as it currently is, do you see a specific need for improvement? If so, do you have any suggestions on how this can be helped?
I think always continue to make our staff, our teachers, and our students feel comfortable at school. We say this at work, and this is the same at our schools. A happy teacher is a good teacher. A happy student is a good student. So definitely mental health is big, and times are changing now with social media. After the pandemic, things are tough, and our students, our teachers are facing different issues than when I was in school. So yes, definitely continue to make sure that our students, staff, and teachers are comfortable with what they're doing. Thanks.
Thank you. Mariella, I'm going to ask you to hang on to the mic, please, for that last portion. So we have concluded our questions section for the forum this evening, and now we'll be moving into closing remarks. Each candidate will have 90 seconds for closing remarks. Mariella, if you please start us.
Okay, so again, my name is Mariela Trevino. My name is listed last on the ballot, for if you forget my name. Again, I've said so much already in my brief biography. I'm a mom. I work in nonprofit. I'm a fiscal director for an agency that does senior services. Before that, I was a grants accountant, and I do help a lot in the community. I feel like I want to give back to my community for everything that they've done for me. Growing up, I was in poverty. I was very low income. When my dad passed away when I was 13 years old, I was in 8th grade, and we had to go on government assistance. So that was tough, and I got the free lunch at school. I got the clothing from Shared Joys. I got to go shopping with Top, and so I just want to give back for everything that taxpayers have given to me. And I feel that's probably why I went to college, because I wanted to get myself out of poverty, and then now that I have all this education, I want to use it for good. And that is why I am running for school board. Thanks.
Lindsay, please go ahead with your closing remarks.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you everybody for coming out. I was not expecting a turnout this big, so this is excellent to see so many people invested in our school board and our teachers and our students. So thank you for taking time out of your week to come here today. I've been super excited to hear everybody's answers and everyone's passion for serving our schools and our community. We all choose to live here, right? So we were born here. We could move anywhere. Ramona came here from South Carolina. This is where we want to send our kids to school. This is where we're proud to call home. And we just want to, I guess I won't speak for everyone. I just want to give back as best I can and make an impact kind of at a greater level. So again, just want to thank everybody. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out via email. You can find me on Facebook. Please please look it up. And I assume that Brandon will tell everyone, but election day is April 4th. Please make sure to get out there and vote on or before April 4th. Thank you.
Jason, go ahead with your closing remarks.
Yeah, Lindsay took a lot I was gonna say, but to second on that, it's inspiring to see so many people involved. And so I want to encourage you, don't let this be the end of it. Please come to school board meetings, please log on, get involved with what is being shared at those meetings, because there's some good stuff. And we need your involvement, we need your voice. So please don't stop here. Please keep getting involved. I think that's huge. And regardless of who you're going to support or not support, please come out and vote. Make your voices heard, get involved in the process. And regardless of what happens, thank you for your time. I'm excited for the next step. I'm excited for the next 4 years for our schools. I hope I'm a part of it, but if I'm not in this position, I'll still be at the meeting safe. We're going to see me there anyway. So thank you.
Ramona, go ahead with your closing remarks, please.
I opened by stating that I'm not running for my 2 daughters that are sitting over there. While I love them very dearly, I am running for their classmates. Might not have the situation that they're afforded. I'm running for their teammates that we spend countless hours on the court with. I am running for their teachers, their custodians, maintenance staff, parents that support the work, the volunteers, the community agencies that dedicate hours of time, lots of dollars to this cause of education. I am passionate about education. That's why I run. I look for your support on April 4th. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you. Nikki, please proceed with your closing remarks.
I am running for the school board because I care and am concerned about our kids, the students in this community. These are very challenging times for all of us in our culture and for the kids at school. And they deserve the best that we can give them. And they deserve a good education. There's tons of taxpayer money being poured into these public schools, and we can't afford to waste any of it. We have a lot of challenges, and we deserve to give our kids the best that we can give them. We deserve to teach them truth and to teach them to be resilient people that are not victims, that are not looking for excuses, but are able to stand up in society and be confident, secure people that know fundamental basic things. And so these school board elections are very important, and you should all carefully consider who you vote for. And I hope that you will vote for me. I'm ready to work for you. And you've heard our views.
Thank you. Justin, please with your closing remarks.
Again, we'd like to thank you for coming your time tonight, your attention to the election and what happens to it, and who guides our students and the education part of our community. It's been an honor to be a part of the team here for 2 terms, 8 years. I'd ask for your support on April 4th to continue being an advocate for our community, our parents, our students, to continue the work that we've been doing. We've heard a lot of good things, how we're on a good path of so many things. And it's absolutely exciting to be a part of, to continue developing and continue to work and giving back to the community. I like that it's one common theme. Everybody's got a reason to give back. We've heard a lot of good heart here tonight. Think carefully who you choose to vote for. It will make a difference. And stay involved. Don't, again, agree with Jason, don't let tonight be where your interest in your activity ends.
Thank you. Audrey, please proceed with your closing remarks.
Well, as others, I'm really heartened to see the crowd here tonight. It's wonderful to see that many people that care about our community. And also, I've been honored to be able to be on the board and been trusted with that responsibility for the last 4 years. And I hope that I can be trusted to continue serving in that capacity. I also want to put reading school finance and school policy books like that to use for another 4 years as well. So it's been a steep learning curve, and I feel I know a lot and have a lot left to offer in terms of being somebody who will listen, take the job seriously, do my due diligence in researching what's happening, and represent our community well. I care for all of Moline, every student that walks through our school's doors, and I really do believe that strong public schools create a strong community. And I want to be a part of that moving to the future. So I ask for your vote, April 4th. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Can we get a round of applause for forum. We'd like to thank all the candidates for taking the time to participate in tonight's event and wish them all the best of luck. We would also like to thank the Moline Education Association for hosting this event and for asking the Moline Public Schools Foundation to partner. To all the community members gathered here tonight and those watching online, we thank you for your continued support of the Moline Valley School District. We encourage all of you to exercise your vote, your right to vote on April 4th. As a proud Moline graduate of the class of 1999, it has been my sincere honor to serve tonight and be on this stage as you do. Thank you and have a good night.